All right, everybody. Episode 1-2 here at Bri Hunter is fucked. We have Al. Al, how we doing today?
Doing well. Episode 12 feels good.
I know, it feels really good. Dirty Dozen. So I know you know this, Al, but I don't think our listeners know this. So I went ahead and submitted my podcast and a letter to Barstool because I'm trying to get into work over there. So I've obviously been following like Dave Portnoy on social media like a hawk. And today he posted up a picture and intentionally / unintentionally posted up a picture of him in sweatpants. And of course you can see like the infamous dick print that you can always see when guys are wearing sweatpants. Like, you know, that's a thing, right, Al?
Definitely. And this one is very detailed, I'd say.
It is pretty detailed, except for that's kind of why I was late to record today, because I had a whole conversation with my girls. We were trying to figure out if what you can see in the picture is the tip or if it's like the elbow of the mid shaft. Because it's basically like, it's either huge or it's just sort of like average. And that's where I'm at with this picture. And I had this whole conversation with my friends about it. We had it like zoomed in. We were looking at different angles. And, you know, my one friend was like, I don't know, like I'm not really good at envisioning it. And I was like, you know, I'm not really good at envisioning it either. Like, I also almost failed geometry, so I can't really, you know, mentally picture it from different angles. But like, I don't know if guys know that, but like chicks do that too. Like, I know guys probably send like pictures of girls to each other and like talk about it amongst themselves. Like, girls are doing the same thing.
No, we figured the girls were doing that. Guys don't do that much. Probably as much as you think we would.
Really?
No, yeah. But that picture of Dave Portnoy, to me, I don't understand how you could think it's anything else. Like, to me, that is the tip, 100%. I mean, and it's a fine size. I think that's an average flaccid penis. There's nothing to be worried about. But yeah, that is 100% the uncircumcised tip right there.
Really? I don't know. Like, that's kind of what I thought. My friend was like, I don't know. I think it's the shaft. Like, we were literally analyzing this like, you know, none other. I was almost like a little bit embarrassed by like the amount of time and effort we put into the dick print study today. And it wasn't even like, it got to a point where it wasn't even like sexual anymore. It was like purely scientific. Like, we just wanted to like use whatever math skills we could pull together from high school and college to see if we can get like an accurate rendering from the print itself. So
nice.
We shall see. Which brings me to, I briefly touched on this at the end of last week's episode, and I said I was going to save it for this one. So speaking of, you know, imagining what, you know, things look like in real life, my friend Justin clued me into this game. Have you ever heard, like, he swears it's just him and his friends, and I tend to believe him, but have you ever heard of the game Peekaboo?
No.
Okay.
I mean, of course, the original Peekaboo with, you know, a mother and a child, and you would put your hands in front of your face and say peekaboo. That I know that game.
Okay, no, this is like the NSFW like version of peekaboo basically, and I would like basically refer to it as like fantasy football for tits. So
okay.
There's like a spreadsheet and there's money involved in everything. So they will send a picture of like 5 or 6 topless girls with their boobs like blacked out, and they're all numbered, and then you have to guess which girl has the biggest boobs. So I was like, at first I was like, ugh, but then I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll play. So I had him start sending me the pictures. Al, I have never been so competitive in my entire life. And like Justin and I he's like, now you have to understand, like there's subtle clues. And I was like, okay, yeah, like if she's hunched over a little bit, like she probably has bigger boobs and has like a bad back. And then like you can kind of tell by her front, like we were going over these photos, like we were like J. Edgar Hoover. Like we were, and you know, like searching for like, you know, the gunman on the grassy knoll. Like it was like I was so into it. And
now, are these famous people or are they just average run-of-the-mill people?
No, they're just like, you know, porn stars, nude models. Like, you know, we have no idea like who these, you know, poor women are.
Are there faces in them or no?
No, faces are in them. Like they're like straight up like nude, like, you know, models. Like everything's out.
Okay, I feel like I'd be great at this. I could be wrong, but I want to try this out. You got to send me these pics.
I will send you these pics, and then.
Were you good at it?
I was pretty good. My record was pretty good. So I'm definitely down to like join a league. I feel like Peekaboo is basically going to become fantasy football for this year since we don't have sports. Like I have to hand it to the guys that they really got creative like in their time of need and they came up with this game and it's pretty fun. Not something that you can talk about The Office if it ever opens up again. However, definitely a good time killer. But yeah, they have money on it, and he claims it's like big money. He's like, there's a Google spreadsheet and everything, and they like are taking it to the next level over there.
And by the way, don't let me down like that because fantasy football will be back this year, okay? That is still happening, all right? Or else I'm not going to be here today.
Well, listen, I hope you're right. I mean, you're an optimist. I'm a little bit more of like a pessimist / realist, and I don't see it happening. But you should take solace in the fact that if you can't look at dudes fondling balls on a field, you can look at naked tits and,
Oh, I already do that every day, so no worries.
You're like, you basically summed up my quarantine.
Yeah.
Speaking of what,
so
your
real quick,
days.
a lot of my friends are pretty sad about the amount of masturbating going on, and I'm all for it. To me, what else is going on? Might as well jerk it off. What's your opinion on that?
That they're like, I'm sorry, like, they're upset that they feel like there's too much masturbating going on.
Yes, they feel like they're less of a man from jerking off 3 times a day.
No, that's like the single person's quarantine move. Like, what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, like unless you have like a fuck buddy and like there's a certain level of risk associated with that now. Like, what else are you going to do besides masturbate all day? I actually recently found out because I follow Insta Single on Instagram, and
What's that?
she like is like a big meme account. She has like 5 or 6 million followers. She like posts a ton of memes, but she also now has been posting like Q&As with a sex therapist that she knows. And the sex therapist told everybody that I had no idea that there is such a thing as masturbating too much. And like she basically said that if you like, jerk it or rub it like in the same spot too much, you could like lose sensitivity and I was like, fuck. And I literally wrote on it like, okay, shit, there go my weekend plans for the long weekend. And I got a couple.
Now, did she specify what is too much?
That was my exact question. I'm like, all right, well, how much is too much? Because I mean, yeah, I would say that like my Hitachi has been getting, quite a bit of use during the quarantine. And I know I'm not alone in that. Like you just said, all of your friends.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how many times a day on average are you taking that thing out? Like once or twice or?
I usually do like it's twice every time. Like I always need to get a second one in. So if it's either like twice a day or it's 4 if I go morning and night. And there are some days where like I just don't do it at all. Like that's rare. So I'm gonna clock it at like 5 days a week. And maybe
that seems normal to me. Like for a young woman with a sexual appetite. I'm no doctor, obviously, but I'm sure she's talking about people that are doing it, 20 times a day.
Well, what's the most either you or you could say like if it's like a friend, like what's like the most you've ever gone in one day?
The most I've ever gone was 3. I top out at 3.
Oh.
I have a friend that has gone 12 times.
12 times in a day?
Yeah, and for a guy, that is a lot.
I know. My God, like his balls must be like the most industrious working factory. They like work harder than Amazon. Like
I will say he was younger, so like an older gentleman couldn't do this. He was probably 17 years old when he did this. But yeah, and I have I know friends that have done it 5, 6 times a day, and they're not proud of it. It's not something guys want to do.
It's like they belong in like the masturbating hall of shame. But okay, like 5, 6, like that's a lot, but I could see it. But 12,
it's a lot.
Like 12 is literally like his balls work harder than like the average Amazon worker. Like that is so much sperm. You can't tell me.
I'd imagine that at one point there's no sperm coming out. That's what I would predict.
Has to be.
And I feel worse about the shaft. The shaft starts to hurt, so I'm sure it was more of a shaft issue, if anything.
Right, like there must have been like a certain level of like chafing going on, like towards the end there. Like that is a lot, lot.
Absolutely.
Completely well, actually not completely unrelated to masturbating, but I Oh, actually, one more thing about that before we move on. Like, God, this is like turning into Dr. Ruth, like a new age Dr. Ruth. But my new thing, because I told you how sometimes I have to take breaks from porn because, like, I feel like I get desensitized to it. And so, like, I'll go on these, like, porn sabbaticals where I don't watch any. But now I think I've found a loophole, which is I just, instead of watching anything, I'll just listen to, like, a guy dirty talk, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, it was like, that's always an exciting thing, like in like a young man or woman's life, when you find like a corner of PornHub that you've yet to find before, and it's very satisfying. Like, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And so now I don't feel like I'm getting desensitized as much because I'm not like looking at something or whatever. Like, it's just in my ear and it's perfect. And it's like a happy medium, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, have you tried ASMR porn?
I have, like, doesn't really do it as much for me. Like, I kind of need, like, the talking, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah, I'm talking about talking. There's talking ASMR porn where it's just all vocal.
Oh, and then, like, in addition to it, like, other sounds. I guess I should go back and watch it. I know it's, like, all the rage these days. They actually had Romy Rain, I think, up on the Brazzers account talking about it this weekend. She was, like, posting up videos because, like, that's her new thing.
Who's Romy Rain?
She's the porn star. I don't know if you...
Yeah. It's funny. I think you know more porn stars than I do. Female porn stars.
Probably. But honestly, like, there are, like, maybe, like, 7 or 8 I know from watching, and then there's probably 10 to 20 I know from social media. Like, not people I, like, recognize, but just people who are constantly being posted up by, like, porn, or, like, promoted by Pornhub and Brazzers. So...
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite?
Like, what? Not like specifically one that you would want to, touch yourself to, but one that you would love to meet, and like one that you just love.
Oh, there's so many that I would love to meet. That's tough. Like, we can have like an awards ceremony one day for like who I think is what. I think.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think we should do that.
Okay, so should we save it then?
Yes.
All right, we'll table that discussion. I was up at Body Energy Club up in West Hollywood. I was like getting my shake. I know those guys really well. It's like a fun spot up on Santa Monica Boulevard. Anyway, I'm in there.
Like a spot for a shake?
Yeah, like, like protein shakes and like supplements and like all that bullshit, like very LA. But it's really good.
So LA.
And the crew there, like, they're just nice people, like they're chill. So I'm up there all the time. They're finally open now that like some of the restrictions have been, lifted. But whenever you go in the store, they like ask everybody like to sanitize their hands. They have hand sanitizer. Fucking easy enough, right? So I'm in there and this guy walks in and he's like, oh, sir, like, can you sanitize your hands? And he's like, no, in order to be sanitized, I would have to take a shower. So I'm not going to sanitize my hands. Like, it's unnecessary. And like, I'm looking at the dude like, okay, first of all, fucking chill out. Like, second of all, like, I was like, he struts in. He's got to be like late 50s, early 60s. He's wearing like a blue JanSport backpack, like a tank top with like the armpits like really like long and strung out. He had on like American flag shorts, and then those sunglasses that like white dads like to wear that kind of like make you look like a shark. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
Okay, so that was like the look he was rocking, and I just felt like, I can tell by the way you're dressed, sir, that you're going to be a problem. Like, that's how I looked at him. And also, don't even get me started on like the American flag as apparel. Because all these people who are like always pissed off about like, the flag, like you have to stand for the flag and you have to do this for the flag, are also the first people to wear the flag as an accessory. Like, and I think
it really doesn't make much sense.
No. Like, I just like you think like that's like respectful to have it like, strewn across your smelly body. Like, that's not respectful at all. But people like do it all the time. Like, I'm
it's
like, oh yeah.
Rule. The whole non-burning of the flag thing and all the disrespecting. It's a weird rule. Today is Memorial Day, by the way. We should mention that. And that is also a weird holiday because you would say Happy Memorial Day, but why should we be happy? Aren't we,
Right. Like, I'm sure that's what he was wearing it for, too. Like, he was like, oh, I'm honoring the troops by like wrapping the flag like around my disgusting, non-cooperative body. It's like, oh yeah, sir, like nothing says, I'm a patriot quite like wearing American flag shorts and, having your taint sweat right onto the Star-Spangled Banner. Like 100%, like let's stop using the American flag for, board shorts and bikinis. It is not respectful. Betsy Ross did not stay up all night stitching that thing, for your vagina or your dick sweat to be staining it. Okay? You're not a patriot. Put the flag up on a pole where it belongs, okay?
See, this is why LA is great, because you have such conflicting views. You have people that want to do everything the way everybody else is doing it, and then the people that don't.
Yeah.
LA is great. It's really colliding views.
It's too much. It's way too much. So, I don't know, man. And I also we touched on alphas and big dick energy last week. And to me, that's little dick energy. You're not a fucking hero because you don't want to use hand sanitizer when you walk in a store. You're not taking a stand for anybody. I mean, if you want to take a stand, there are some things that you can do that, even if I don't agree with it, I would respect it. But, walking into a store asking for, your fish oil and crying because you don't want to use hand sanitizer, cut me a fucking break, pal. I just, in my next life, I've said this before, I want to come back as, a jacked dude who, fixes cars and can kill bugs and is smashing anything not nailed to the floor, but also not doing pussy shit like this guy did. I will be big dick energy until I die in my next life.
I would never want to be a jack dude. I see jack dudes, I'm like, ugh, that sucks.
Really?
Yeah, no interest. Zero interest. I want to be a skinny dude. I've always, my whole life, envied skinny dudes. They have it all. Jack dudes, you can tell they're compensating for something.
Yeah, but there are exceptions to the rule though. I see guys who are jacked and confident, not necessarily.
You're saying that as a woman who's attracted to jack dudes. If you throw that out of the equation, there's no benefit.
Okay, well whatever. I just want to be able to do cool shit. I don't know. As much as I like being a woman in this life, I definitely want to come back as a guy in my next life and amp it up. Do you believe in past lives?
I'm not against the theory. I think it can. I don't believe in it. No, I wouldn't pass that on to my children. No.
Okay, well I do because I'm into witch shit and whatever. But I went for I've been for many past life readings, and I remember during one of them she was like, oh, you were once a guy in the 1800s in England. And I was like, okay, here I go. I definitely was John Smith, or I was a soldier. I was and she literally was like, you were a lord who served in the courts and had a wife and two. And I was like, motherfuck. Even in my past life, I was a beta male. I'm like, no. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't some guy who set sail and discovered, or some rough housing guy from that show Peaky Blinders? And she was like, no. You had a family and you had high cholesterol and you didn't really to do much. And I was like, God damn it. So.
Well, Bri, it is 2020. It's not too late to switch genders here.
No, I don't, I'm not that keen on it. I definitely like being to me, I feel there's nothing quite as powerful as being a confident woman in a man's world. I know we're women are out here we're fighting for equal this and this, and I'm down. Obviously, I support all of that, but I also feel I've never felt more powerful than when I'm around a bunch of guys and basically showing them who's boss.
Definitely.
That's
and
the God's
especially in the
honest
field
truth.
you're in, comedy. There's nothing more boring than a white guy.
Right. Well, or you just don't I feel you sort of, I was talking to my friend about this the other day because we were talking about the whole Barstool submission, and I was saying that to me, sort of arguing and debating with alpha males and sort of doing that dance with them is foreplay. I think it's hot, and I know that those guys, there are guys who are so opposite from me in terms of everything from political views to how they spend their time to what they want on their pizza, and those guys tend to be the most attracted to me. I think that most men, especially alpha men, like a challenge, whether they want to admit to it or not. It's been my experience that they do.
Probably.
So, well, I know we have to wrap it up soon. I guess my parting thoughts were going to be, did you see the drama with Dave Chappelle and Azaelia Banks today?
No, and who is Azaelia Banks?
Well, exactly. Like that's who is Azaelia Banks is like the correct answer to that question. But basically, she's like a rapper, and she came out and posted this video. She's sort of like Kanye West in the sense that she just sort of spews like insane shit, and you never really know what's going on. But she put out a video today saying that she's had sex with like tons of powerful men, some of them married, and she can ruin their lives. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to start talking about all this. Like, I'm going to talk about how I fucked Dave Chappelle. And of course, everybody was like, what the hell? Like, I'm not even mad that Dave Chappelle cheated on his wife and slept with her. I'm just mad that, like, that's who he chose to cheat on his wife with. It's like, you're Dave Chappelle. You could have had, like, all these people. And you instead...
right away, though, do we know if they actually did sleep with each other?
Well, no. I mean, who's going to know? I'm sure or I shouldn't say I'm sure. Maybe he won't even respond to it. I think he'll respond to it. But assuming that she is telling the truth, I'm like, really, Dave? Like, there were so many other chicks, and you chose, like, the crazy bitch with, like, the C average face. Like, how good is her pussy that you were like, okay, this is the girl.
I'm looking at her. She's an attractive woman. Give her a little credit.
Al, she's not attractive enough to be as crazy as she is. Let's put it that way. Like, when you are a supermodel, you can be batshit crazy and guys are still going to want to sleep with you. But when you look like that, you have to tone it down a little bit,
No, yeah, I'm saying more pics. You're right.
Yeah. It's a lot. But I'm sure we will see things develop in the coming days. But that was pretty wild.
These headlines, they're ripping her apart. The people are not fans of her.
Yeah. Well, I told you, like, she sort of has, like, a long history of, like, fucking up people. Like, she had something with, like, Grimes and Elon Musk, and, like, she also claimed that, like, Jack Dorsey gave her a locket of his hair so she could do, like, a voodoo spell. Like, she just is, like, she is, like, a Neapolitan of accusations against other people. So you really, like, she could be telling the truth, but she's, like, the boy who cried wolf. Like, you just wouldn't know because she's always saying crazy shit.
This headline says, Azaelia Banks tries to ruin Dave Chappelle. Can we please cancel her?
Yeah, can we please get rid of her? I mean, part of me feels like...
But maybe she's the victim here. Maybe we don't know the whole story yet.
Well, but victim how? Like, she knowingly slept with a married guy.
So what made her come out with this anyway? What was the...
Nothing. She just was bored in her bed. It looks like taking a video saying that she deserves more respect in the rap game. And if she doesn't get it, she's going to start talking about all the dudes... who she's fucked,
I don't like
who haven't come to her defense.
I don't like that.
And it's like, girl, like, you don't fuck for respect. Like, that's not how it works. So, I don't know. She's just, it's a lot for me. I always think, like, if her and Kanye West ever had a child, like, holy fuck, the basket case of issues that mix of genes would be, because that's kind of like her, like, I almost feel bad for her a little bit because I'm like, shit, maybe there is something like genuinely wrong for her, but or maybe she's like okay but just genuinely doesn't give a fuck. I will say that she spiced up our quarantine, right?
I think what was that?
She did spice up the quarantine, so I'll give her that much. She gave us all something to do.
I think this is a smart business move. Like I said, I haven't had any research on this besides what I'm reading right now, but I'm hearing about her for the first time. I'm sure many of other Americans are as well. I think she probably did the right thing for her career.
Many other Americans. Oh my God, you're like very like patriotic. I think because it's Memorial Day weekend.
Probably, but I only say that because I don't know if the world knows about Azaelia Banks yet.
Right.
But she's a New Yorker. She's a fellow New Yorker. I'll give her that. That's always a plus in my book.
Right. I mean, I guess you're right. In terms of publicity, like, she is sort of unmatched during the quarantine as somebody who can drum up some attention for herself. But anywho, I don't want to drive you crazy with editing, so we're going to wrap up here. But I will say, and I'm going to post another video about this on my Instagram story, but because it is Memorial Day, I wanted to take a quick second to tell everybody that they should check out the Headstrong Project, which is a charity that helps veterans with PTSD get, health care and the help they need and therapy and all that kinds of good stuff when they come home. It's a charity that I've donated to, many times and advocated for over the last couple of years. And again, it being Memorial Day, even though we often associate that with like drinking and, you know, doing all kinds of crazy shit, at the end of the day, what it's supposed to be celebrating are the people who served for us. So for, even like, every little bit counts. So for $5 or the cost that, it would, ring, what the hell's the word? Not ring you. What do they say? The cost it would, why can't I think today? The cost it would run you. Jesus Christ. You know what? I was making fun of that dude with the JanSport backpack, but like I clearly need fish oil. The cost it would run you for a beer if you were able to go to the bar is, just enough to make a difference for this charity. So again, it's the Headstrong Project. You can find them online. And I will be making a donation. I encourage everybody else who is still working right now to make a donation as well.
Yeah, instead of buying that premium PornHub account, just use that dough for some donations,
Yes, hell yeah. The vets need you. The vets need you. And let's be honest, you've already jerked off 7 times today. You don't need an 8th, okay?
Yeah.
So...
And the picture on Instagram is nice, but, it's not the same. You can post a picture and, say, God bless our soldiers. It's not going to help as much.
No, yeah. You got to put your money where your mouth is and donate to the men and women who have served to us. So on that note, to anybody who has served, the twins and I and Al salute you and we thank you for your service. And we also send our love to all of our listeners. So over and out until next time, guys.